Hello.
Hey, here he
Hey.
is.
No, I'm not here. I'm
Okay.
actually, I'm not anywhere.
All right. Well, awkward. You want to explain that?
Well, yeah, I'm actually down and out in Beverly Hills.
So this is the film that we chose tonight is kind of apropos of your situation right now.
Almost a biopic this week,
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
Well, you're not. I mean, you're not. You're between. You're between homes. You're not homeless. You're between homes.
Well, I don't have a home right now.
Okay.
Places I'm staying, but I don't actually have a place I can call my home. So that's kind of the definite. Well, I should count my blessings. I have
Oh,
lots of places to stay, and
right. And
I
you have digs lined up. It's
I
just not your apartment's not ready yet, and so that's a different problem. But
yeah.
still, it can be uncomfortable.
Well, and
St-
also, I can't find. I've been going from place to place because we were ready for our place, and then our place fell through, and I have to stay here for a little while, and had shipped my stuff from New York, and there's I can't find my webcam.
clearly you can't find your webcam. For
And
those listening at home, Matthew did not find his webcam.
I did not find my webcam, and I don't have my good mic set up, so
That
that
is, yes. For those listening at home, Matthew doesn't have a decent microphone.
if you can't tell, listening to me, if you can't tell, I don't sound good right now.
Not the normal studio setup, not the normal mic, not the normal thing. But look, we're talking, we're doing a show, we're having
We're,
we,
we are doing our 50th show.
and you got to do the show, whatever. If it's your 50th show, you got to do it, even
Yeah.
if you don't have a microphone.
And even if it's not incredible. Hey, we have a
Right.
comment. We have a comment from, it's got to be from, oh, hey. It's
I
from
don't.
my friend, Welcome to the World.
Okay, I'm not seeing any comments on my screen
Oh,
yet for
I
some
didn't
reason.
share it with you. There we go.
Oh,
Here we go. Welcome to the world. Hey, guys. Hey, Matthew, says my
hey there.
friend Al,
What's going on? Thanks for the shout out.
who is watching. That's very nice. We hope to entertain you tonight,
We
or
hope so.
at least entertain ourselves.
I'm already having a good time. It's good to see you. It's really, I miss doing the show. I miss talking with you every week. This hiatus was very depressing.
It was
Um,
very depressing.
I mean, you didn't have a very depressing hiatus. You were very busy and active and doing lots of exciting things. I was stuck here in in Brooklyn.
I was doing exciting things. I was in Chicago, uh, wining and dining other people, and being wined and dined at the same time, working on our booze business, which
Right.
is moving along.
Great
Then
to hear.
I came back here and I had a week and a half with my daughter, which is always great. Can't beat that, a visit with my daughter. And because I'm homeless and I didn't want her to be homeless in these little friends places that I'm staying in,
Hmm.
I rented us an Airbnb in Los Angeles up near Beechwood Canyon that was really, really nice. Um, uh, but it was the size of a postage stamp.
Okay.
Um, but it is a place that I would recommend. Like, if you ever need to come into town and you can't come down to Irvine and stay with me, you need to be in Hollywood. This place was inexpensive because it's so small. And if you just need a place to be sleeping at night and shower, it was lovely.
Is there a fire pit?
There isn't a fire pit.
I can't do it.
Okay, sorry.
No, it sounds great. It sounds like a good deal. And I often have to be in Hollywood and nothing else will suffice. So that's great to know.
We did have, there is a tragedy we need to discuss. Very sad news. I don't know if you've heard.
I don't, no.
We lost Greenblatt's.
What?
Yeah. Greenblatt's closed its doors.
Oh, come on.
Which, for those of you who don't know, Greenblatt's is a deli that was open till maybe 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, for sure.
But not just a deli. It was a combination gourmet food store, wine shop, liquor store, and amazing New York style deli sandwiches. An amazing place.
And one of the only kind of like easy late night hangouts that wasn't pressured or Hollywood, or and all kinds of amazing people you'd see there. I mean, every time I went, there, really interesting, notable celebrities would be there just hanging out and eating and stuff. But it was a very chill vibe. Yeah. Oh man, that's so depressing. God damn it.
Tragic.
And what
memories? Like, how many nights did you go there with Adam and Bruno late at night to have
countless. I mean, so many memories of that there, and post shows that I, when I was living in LA, I did a little bit of theater and I directed some theater, and that was like always a place to go after, if we weren't drinking, because there were some late night drinking spots that you'd find in LA. Because do LA bars still close earlier than New York bars? Is it still? So.
Yeah. Oh, and also I hear that the Pikey is gone.
No, really?
I'll have to confirm that, but I think here, let's double check. Did the Pikey?
Oh, Greenblatt, say it ain't so. That's too bad. Any news on why? Just what? How could
Pikey?
No, I'm Greenblatt's.
Any news on why Greenblatt's? I don't know. I just heard it from Adam the other night.
Really?
Bette Bowles joined us and says, 50 is great, and thank you for making me know. I really hadn't seen To Catch a Thief. Always thought I had. I was wrong. And we have very bad news for you, Bette. We apologize. We're not doing To Catch a Thief. We said we were going to do To Catch a Thief, but then with my homeless situation, we decided to do.
Oh, Bette, I got confused. I didn't realize we had committed. See, this is terrible. I thought we've jumped all over the place, and we've confused people, and we've let people down now.
Yeah.
Oh, Bette. Well, we got to do To Catch a Thief. I realized, we dropped the ball on that. I want to see that again, and oh, damn it. Okay. Well,
we will do it. We will do it.
We don't have a producer, and we just run and gun this, and sometimes stuff just falls through the cracks.
Right. Yeah. We also have good news though. Tomorrow is a big day, national holiday. Tomorrow, our brother's birthday.
Yeah. Shout out to the big Captain Adama.
Yep. And
birthday shout out.
Joel Rooks tomorrow also.
I didn't hear that.
Joel Rooks.
Oh.
As well.
Joel's same birthday. Interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
Joel doesn't watch the show, so I don't know.
Joel,
shout
I
out?
don't know why I'm giving him a shout out.
Joel, come on, man.
Why should I even?
You'd be one of the people that would know the movies we're talking about on this show.
He would. What you watching? You watching anything? You're not working.
No, I think I've had some time to watch some stuff. Anything good? Let me take a look at my notes. No. Anything good? Trying to see.
But I have heard that The White Lotus is something to behold.
I hear these kinds of things too, and at this point, I don't believe anybody. That's my thing. I don't believe a soul about anything until I see it for myself.
Oh wow.
So White Lotus, okay. I will admit to giving it a whirl.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot tonight, I think.
I saw a little bit of it tonight. That's what I'm admitting to.
Oh really?
I need to give it a little more time. I'm not willing to comment.
Okay. I'll check it out tonight after we're done with our show.
I saw some really cool stuff. Great horror movie called The Vigil. Highly recommend it. Low budget, indie horror. I think it came out pretty recently, if
Where
not
is
this
that
year. Where is it available? I think I saw it on Hulu. But the good old Googles will tell you. The Vigil. It's about an Orthodox Jewish kid who has to sit.
That's a horror movie right there.
Sit a vigil over someone who's died, over a dead body in a creepy apartment overnight, and it's spooky as hell. Really good.
Okay.
And then I saw another horror movie that. Do you know I like horror movies? Did I ever tell you that?
But I want to go back to The Vigil for something, because for a minute, because it sounds like a horror movie about an Orthodox Jew. Like it seems a little anachronistic. But seriously, Chabad can it be? All right. I will show myself out.
I like that you stopped me to tell that joke.
Well, we had to
you had to stop everything. I know you had to get out of your system. You can't stop until it's done. I know.
Yeah. You can do the rest of the show yourself because I've just embarrassed myself.
You did it. You did the show. That's a mic drop. Let's face it. The Vigil, directed by Keith Thomas. It's available on Hulu, as I thought. And it's really good if you like spooky movies. Then I also saw a movie called Possession. You ever hear of this movie?
No.
I was reading up on other filmmakers' favorite horror movies. So lists of horror movies that people like Scorsese or did Spielberg like. And there were some obvious ones, but there's a movie that kept coming up on a few people's lists called Possession that I'd never seen or heard of. And then as I looked up a little bit more, I found it was like a really famous Polish director named Zalowski, who I also never heard of. This kind of art filmmaker from Poland. And it stars Sam Neill, Isabella Johnny. And it turns out, one of the most famous horror performances in the world is her in this movie. And it's amazing. It's really terrifying. Like really, really messed up, scary, arty, shot in Berlin, very creepy European vibe to this movie. It's great.
Okay, well, I have to get a girlfriend because I love horror movies too, but if they are not of the sort of slightly cheesy ilk, right? If they're genuine, we're gonna scare the crap out of you horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
That's a scary movie.
I've seen 40 minutes of that movie because I was watching it alone and got to a point where I said, okay, this is not, I'm alone. We're not going any further.
Okay.
And it sounds like The Vigil and Possession sound like the same thing, that I'm not, whereas if I'm with somebody else, like if I've got a girlfriend, I can be all like, oh yeah, come on, we're okay.
Yeah, I hear you. The Possession might be the most upsetting movie I've ever seen, and but not in like it's not like torture porn kind of thing or tremendously violent. I mean, it's violent, but it's not like that. That's not why it's hard. It's just how David Lynch movies can really just mess up your head. This movie literally has got stuff in it that David Lynch stole because he liked some. I mean, wow. This is a filmmaker that David Lynch has stolen from.
Okay.
It's terrifying. Anyway, yeah, I like to sit home during terrifying times and watch terrifying films. I'm really ill in the head. That's just wrong.
Well, I love to watch that scary stuff too, but so there was something else I wanted to talk about before we get to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm avoiding getting to the movie. You shouldn't take that as a sign of anything. I just am.
Okay.
Partly because I feel like I've been so discombobulated that I didn't get to really assemble my thoughts on this movie as much as I'd like to.
I don't think Paul Mazursky did either, so you're in good company.
Okay, well, there we go. But I think it might be time for a little bit of, shall we say,
So good you had to hear it twice.
Yes, for those of you at home, that is the theme song to Mom's Corner. And there's just something I need explained to me. Would you just describe this, if you would? Or I'll describe what we're seeing.
You better describe it to the listeners at home.
What we're seeing is my brother Anthony and our mom in some sort of alien spaceship control room, surrounded by aliens, and seems like abducted from Pine Bush, UFO something going on. You have some creature in front of you. Anthony, you look just terrified.
Yeah, I'm really scared and I'm really frightened. And Mom is obviously a little concerned as well. She looks a little disgusted.
She looks more disgusted than scared.
Yes, yes. There's also that face hugger from Alien on my knee.
Yeah,
yeah.
Your knee. Okay, I couldn't.
This is evidence of something that's very meaningful to me that I've been wanting to talk about on the show for a long time, and that's my belief in abductions. This is proof that it happens. They target families, they target lineages of people, and there's a lot of missing time. That's all I'm going to say. I have so much missing time in my life. What time is it?
Huh. Interesting.
Do you know what time? Like, for instance, I don't even know what time it is right now.
Yeah, right now.
So
it's 6:18 where I am. So 9:18 where you are.
Exactly. Missing for me. So this is just something I've been meaning to share.
Did they do anything to you while you were abducted? Any
a warm face towel, like a warm, that was about it.
Okay.
Yeah. And some honey roasted peanuts.
I had to go to the doctor today, and it was a little bit like some of the alien abductions that I've heard about. But,
a little incident at Pine Grove.
I had an incident at Pine Grove at the doctor's office today, and I lost some time.
Oh dear.
I lost a little time.
That's terrifying. Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, I hope this picture wasn't too triggering for you, but it happened. This photograph is from a trip that Mom and I took to the Pine Bush, New York, Paranormal and UFO Museum. We saw an advertisement for this, and on the other podcast that I do is paranormal themed. We talk about paranormal movies and stuff, and UFO movies. That sounds ridiculous. What is that? That's like a third grader said that. UFO movies. Cinema about the paranormal. And we felt it was important to go investigate. And so Mom and I got in the car, took the hour drive across the Hudson River into Pine Bush. That whole area apparently is like crazy hotbed for all kinds of weird sightings of UFOs and cryptids and ghosts and all kinds of stuff, which you can learn about at the museum.
Okay. Well, there's some things about this photograph that concern me. One is the aliens are actually completely naked, and obviously, like very obviously, they're naked.
They're pretty cut too, which I found surprising.
They are ripped. But also, like, you and Mom are vaxxed, and I know, so I'm okay with the two of you hanging out together like this, but they're unmasked. We don't know what they could have. You put yourself at risk.
That's the least of our problems.
Oh, okay.
The least of our problems.
All right.
Yeah, no, they weren't masked. We were, we had masks on for the tour. There's a great tour through the museum and stuff, and it's a lot of fun. We're locked up inside. We don't have, I'm not taking airplane rides right now. So this kind of thing is very exciting.
It's great because your facial expression, it looks like you're going, and Mom looks like she's going,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing. I stand by my reports on these things. You can take this seriously. I know photos can be faked, but it would be so costly to fake this. If you look closely, it's very hard. I mean, people have tried to debunk it.
Well, it was pretty cool. I don't think you can debunk that photograph. That's a genuine photograph. I think anyone would be willing to attest to the authenticity of
I'll take a lie detector test
what's going on
if need be.
All right.
So,
So,
yes.
should we talk about a movie? I don't know.
Well, why not? We saw one. We spent the money on it. We put our our hard-earned money down to see it.
Yes, we did.
And I think we retain the right to discuss it.
All right. So what we're discussing, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, 1986, directed by Paul Mazursky, written by Paul Mazursky, and what was the other gentleman's name?
Oh, you want stats? Like, Rene. Well, it's based on the play by Rene Fauchois.
Right, which was then made into a movie by Jean Renoir.
Right, a very famous French film from the 30s, starring Jean Gabin. I don't know if that's right. I don't think it is Jean Gabin.
It was not Jussieu Smollett. I know that. The French.
I have to get this right because
Dad's a big Renoir fan, and you'll hear about it.
Yeah. But I can't. I'm not going to get it right.
But he doesn't watch the show, so you won't hear about it. So you can make all the mistakes.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who's in it. It's not much. It's not. I don't know who it is. It's a very famous French actor. I feel terrible. Anyway, yes, this is all based on other material.
Yes, and a homeless guy in Beverly Hills, played by Nick Nolte, loses his dog. Very sad. And tries to drown himself in the swimming pool of Richard Dreyfuss and Bette Midler in their huge, beautiful Beverly Hills home. They have two troubled children, and he tries to drown himself, and Richard Dreyfuss rescues him and is sort of intrigued by his lifestyle, takes care of him. And then in the movie goes on to be about the effect of this homeless guy on the lives of this family that has everything in the world, all the money in the world, and they're not happy.
Exactly.
Which is actually a really interesting premise. There are a lot of interesting things that could have been explored in that dynamic.
And they are in the original French film. I know that.
You felt that they weren't in this one?
No, I think that they are, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I got the sense of some studio interference or meddling pretty strongly here.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mazursky, I mean, he's trying to do something here, I feel like.
But Mazursky is, he's interesting, but he's kind of ultra casual about everything, So you get the feeling like everything's made like, yeah, okay, what are we, let's have some fun and make a movie. Yeah, it worked. That's okay. You don't feel like there's a strong hand at the helm.
No. But I did get the feeling that there is somebody, an intelligent hand, not a strong hand, maybe not a incredibly gifted hand, but someone who's read a lot, someone who's intelligent, someone who at least saw a French movie.
Yeah. And smart enough to recognize my talent and potential at an early age.
We better talk about that for a second.
Yeah, I worked with him for 47 minutes.
Was he nice to you?
He was actually lovely to me.
Were you nice to him?
I think I was nice to him. But getting back to like the way he works, you said an intelligence there and a kindness and a looseness. And for instance, when I worked with him, which was on An Unmarried Woman playing the boyfriend of Joe Clayburgh's daughter, I'm on screen for about 16 seconds. But it was an odd role because everybody thinks that the role was much, much bigger than it was because the daughter is on the phone with me a lot.
Okay.
You don't hear my side of the conversation. I wasn't there, but she's on the, who's she talking to? Oh, she's talking to Phil. You know, how's Phil? There's a lot of talk.
So everybody knows who Phil is. That's great.
Yeah, everybody knows who Phil is. He's actually on screen for about 16 seconds when Jill Clayburgh comes home and finds us making out with, you know, I forget what the music was that was playing, and she freaks out and kicks me out of the house.
Was this your first movie that you did as an actor?
It was my first, like, I auditioned. I mean, I'd done stuff that Dad directed, but my first, I went out there and auditioned.
Yeah, like your first
got a real
acting gig.
Yeah. And
you have a makeout scene in your first acting gig.
Yeah, a makeout scene in my first acting gig, and I'm 16 years old when I shoot it.
Well, at least it was, you were an old hand at making out by that point. 16
or 17 years old when I shoot it. But what was interesting, what was nice was that Paul Mazursky or the producer, I forget who it was who did this, but it must have been Mazursky's idea, was that they called me up a couple of weeks before the shoot and said, listen, we want you to take Lisa Lucas, the girl who's playing my girlfriend, we want you to take her out on a date. We want you guys to go to dinner and a movie, hang out for a while and get to know each other. And, you know, here's $100 or whatever it was. You know, they gave us the money to go out.
Mm-hmm.
A big night on the town, but to go out, to, you know, for me to take her out to a decent
right. They didn't like get you a hotel room or something. They just okay.
We got to a weekend at the Palazzo in Vegas. So that we could meet each other and get to know each other and be more comfortable on the day, because we were only going to have one day shooting.
Yeah,
not even a full day. But then, of course, on the day when we're shooting the scene, there are Teamsters all over the place giving me a really hard time.
Which is part of their job, I guess. They feel they have to. Yeah. Why were they giving you a hard time on the makeout scene? Why were there Teamsters watching that? I'm confused.
Because people tease me. You know,
were you making out in a parking lot? Why were there Teamsters there?
We're in a small bedroom, but not grips. You know.
Oh, grips. Okay.
Gaffers. You know, those guys.
Yeah, that's different guys. I mean, the Teamsters are generally the guys that drive the trucks and the cars and the machinery. I was sorry, I got confused.
No, it was grips.
My bad.
Giving me a hard time on my technique, but people give me a hard time. You know my. Remind me to tell you what Chris Noth did to me on Law and Order one time. The hard time he gave me. People tease me. There's something about me people tease.
Well, you're still getting residual checks though from Unmarried Woman.
Unmarried Woman. Yeah, I think I am occasionally.
I would bet. Yeah.
7-8 cents a year, right? And
it's big in Greenland. That film, I watch it all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
I shouldn't say that. I haven't. I don't know if I've actually ever seen it. So
it's a very it is very much of its time, and it's very Mazursky-ish.
Okay, now let's get into what you mean. We mean by that.
I would call Mazursky maybe Cassavetes ultra light.
That's really good.
Like if you've got like a really good IPA, really high alcohol, hoppy IPA, and then Bud Light.
Gotcha.
Bud Light IPA style.
Okay. I think that's really actually a pretty good assessment.
Like I'm going to be like Cassavetes, but I don't want to be a completely crazy person.
Yeah, I don't want to be a complete crazy person, and I don't want to fight with the studios. So whatever I don't want to fight with them.
Right. I want to make another movie.
So if they want to have another shot of the dog, we can have another shot of the dog.
Shots of the dog. I didn't even put that in my notes because I just, you know what I said? Oi. I think I said oi, every time there was a shot of the dog.
I mean, it's a cute dog, but they relied on it as a crutch over and over again to a point where, in a couple of points, that it shouldn't have been. I felt.
No.
There was a sexual encounter at one point between two characters that was remarkable, I have to say.
No, okay.
Totally PG rated. It's not like R rated.
I didn't notice that it was a sexual encounter. That was I couldn't tell if it was a sexual encounter or people eating a candy bar, a Clark bar. That's not as sexy as eating a Clark bar.
I didn't say it was sexy. That's a different. I said it was an encounter.
Okay.
As in Close Encounters.
Okay. Well, now we're going to get references in this movie.
Had you seen it before?
No, I'm proud to say.
I'd never seen it either. And it was the kind of movie I avoided in the 80s. You know, I didn't go to this kind of thing in the 80s for whatever reason, you know. Although that's not entirely true, to be honest, because stuff was on cable, and I did see whatever Stakeout and other Dreyfuss comedies, I guess. I probably saw a couple of Bette Midler comedies that way, but I missed this one. I don't know. You know when they call a movie a crazy comedy?
Yeah.
That's to me, this is the prime example of a crazy comedy.
A crazy comedy that's actually not crazy, though.
It's not, but I mean, they make it crazy. Like, I think that's the Mazursky vibe that, for me, the way I feel like it. I mean, Cassavetes Light is perfect, but there's also a quality of Mazursky that he always seems to have to inject more chaos into things than ever normally would be there, and even more than probably is needed or funny.
Yeah.
Like, there's a hysteria that's just kind of constant that doesn't really have a good build to it. It just is kind of constantly on a neurotic, hysterical level that it's just a little much.
Yeah, but some of it is purposeful in a genius way, because Richard Dreyfuss running and screaming "Call 911" for, I think, 17 minutes by my watch.
Yeah, it was epic.
Did you know that they credit that with raising awareness about 911?
That it actually was an effective tool in raising awareness?
An effective tool. So you gotta hand it to Mazursky for having a social conscience there and trying to save lives with comedy.
That's pretty cool. So this and The Thin Blue Line have something in common. They saved life. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it was weird because I really thought that I was going to have a rough time altogether. I really didn't think I was going to have a good time at all here. And I had a half a good time. You know, the things I liked about it, I liked a lot more than I ever thought I was going to like it. And the things that I didn't like about it were just shockingly not good. But I kind of expected there to be some shockingly shameless, ridiculously not good moments. But I wasn't expecting, that scene on the pier between him and Dreyfuss, between Nolte and Dreyfuss.
Exactly. When he quotes Shakespeare, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah. And Nolte, like notoriously, famously spent weeks as apparently living like a homeless person, which I think he does in his own house anyway. So I don't really know that his behavior was much different in the street.
But the thing is, if you're going to spend 3, 5, whatever weeks researching a homeless person, do it for a real movie about homeless people.
Okay.
Or actually, don't even do it then.
Are you going to tell Nick that? Are you going to tell Nick, you're going to tell Mr. Nolte, like, Nick, you don't need to do that as an act. Stop it. Stop preparing for your role.
I think I am going to say don't prepare for your role when it's not actually really, it would have been like Dad learning how to be a real bombardier for Catch-22. Catch-22 wasn't about bombardiers. This movie isn't a real examination of homelessness.
Yeah. All right. Here's the only thing I'll say.
No, it's not the only.
I would totally understand your point of view if we had just had to sit and listen to Nick Nolte complain about having to do this for 5 weeks to get into character. But he didn't.
He didn't.
He quietly just went about his business. And my attitude is, if that's what an actor needs to do to get on screen, then let him do it. Whatever.
Yeah. But here's my thing, right? Like, okay, he actually ate dog food in the movie, right?
Did he? I didn't. I don't know.
He did. He actually ate dog food twice. But here's what I would say, for instance, to my students. If you were playing a regular person, like you or me, who suddenly had to eat dog food, and I would not scoff at you if you actually ate some dog food to like sort of parse what that experience was like for you, having to lower yourself to eating dog food, and what your reaction was and what it tasted like, right? But this character, to him, he's been doing it so long, it's not horrible and doesn't taste disgusting. It's just food to him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he wouldn't have to eat real dog food to get this to portray somebody eating something. It's like I was doing a play once. Yeah. I played a character, and my character smoked grass in the play. And you may not know this about me. I don't smoke a lot of grass.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
Yeah, very rarely do I smoke the Mary Jane or have anything to do with it.
Yes.
So I said to the director and some of the other people working on the play, I said, I guess I better smoke some pot a few times to like sort of get the idea of what's going on for him. And they said, no, don't do that. And I said, why? And they said, because he smokes pot all the time. It's just maintenance. It's just a regular day for him. You're never going to get to that point. So you're never going to experience what it's like for him to smoke pot, because for him, it's just it's been 30 years of getting through the day like this.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt about him. Like, why are you're going and doing something that you've never done before that's obviously going to be disgusting to you, and you're going through that. It's not disgusting for this homeless guy who's been doing it for however many years.
Unless here's a caveat, Nolte did it out of respect for people who have had to do that or needed to do that, and it was more out of respect to that than not, because he is not homeless and he's not suffered the way that people in this character's position have suffered, and maybe he was being kind of like living philosophy, being like, no, I owe it to my character's story to experience these things again without complaining about it. I think that I agree with you about.
Are you and Nick good pals or something? Because I feel like you're trying to get him to loan you some money right now.
Here's what I think. I think that method actors have taken a good beating. Seth Michael, he's eating dog food because he's been Beverly. He's eating Spiegel. Yes, he needed to know what something else tasted like.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly, Seth. Methody stuff gets a bad rap. People make a lot of fun of it. Method actors get dumped on a lot. I've made some fun of it too, but I do feel what I said is true. Like I actors, particularly like Nolte doesn't brag about this. I think word maybe gets out, and the publicity department likes to have stories like this. Like he ate dog food. Nicolas Cage ate a bug. Somebody else ate a raw elk liver. Like there's a lot of weird eating, a lot of weird stunts. Actors trying to flash each other. I get that, but
I never flashed another actor.
But I always feel like, and I think Nick Nolte has been a great actor at times. Like I think he's given some phenomenal performances on camera, and I've been a fan of his work for off and on, not everything, but in his day I think he was great. So if that's what it takes, sometimes I look at it as like maybe they can't, maybe they're having trouble accessing the character. Maybe they're neurotic. Maybe they're like, I can't do this without doing something extreme. And they may be people unlike you and I who feel that acting is something other than just a frivolous joke, that you go in and make some funny faces. I've relied on this attitude my whole life. It's time for me to step up and eat some dog food. And I think it would be good for both of us, is all I'm saying.
I take it very seriously sometimes.
I'm kidding.
Every 7 or 8 years, I get a job that I feel like I should take it seriously.
I think if you imagine that he didn't eat dog food to annoy Richard Dreyfuss, you're living in a dream world. And I want you to think about why you think he's doing it.
I would eat dog food to annoy Richard.
Exactly. So I believe that this was probably a very how should we call it? Kinetic relationship on set, like a lot of stuff going on, probably. Maybe some ego clashing. I don't know. I would actually I wish I could talk to Richard Dreyfuss right now about this movie, because that would be fun to find out how they got along.
Well, I have him on the line. So,
Richard, what's up, man?
How you doing, Anthony?
We both have Richard Dreyfuss stories.
We do have Richard Dreyfuss stories. It's kind of terrifying.
He's been in our lives a lot, in one way or another.
In an odd way.
Well, yeah, and has always been incredibly sweet to me.
Yeah, very lovely.
Very nice man to work with, in my experience. And I would imagine Nolte, who has probably had some prickly times with other people on the set, likes to probably get under people's skin, I would imagine. Maybe there was some friction, and I could just see some fun stuff happening in that. Maybe he didn't bathe for 5 weeks just so he could stink up the dressing room for Richard.
Oh, wow.
Think about it.
Oh, that's so much fun. Think
about if you're Nolte, how much fun it would be if you're basically just a large golden retriever of a human being, like to just be that 100% and eat dog food. Like, I don't care. I'm going to do this. This is going to freak him out. Watch this. I'd love it. I don't have that courage.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll buy that. Here's a fun little photograph from our past. You were there this day.
I was there. I may have taken that picture.
I had hair back then.
You did.
I think you did take that picture.
Richard looks the same.
Yes, he does.
Where was that? Was at a reading of a play.
That was at Temple, Israel in New Rochelle, when Richard came and did a reading of The Substance of Fire with us.
That was very nice of him.
Yeah.
That was a picture for you listening on the podcast of Matthew with his arm around Richard Dreyfuss.
And Richard Dreyfuss looking chagrined. How
did you know him to call him?
I knew him because I worked on 2 television series with him. I worked on The Education of Max Bickford, and I worked on a pilot for PBS called Cop Shop.
Okay.
And he was in both of those. He was very good friends with a friend of mine, Joe Kakachi, who you I think you know.
I met Joe, yeah.
Writer, director.
Sure.
So he very kindly came up and did a fundraiser for us.
Very nice.
And you rode in the limousine with him.
I did. I rode up there with him, and we spent some time there together, and he was very great.
Story about that.
Well, I have a fun story about just him telling me about Jaws and
Right.
Close Encounters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you getting to actually talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Jaws, as you know, is one of my favorite movies. It may be my favorite movie. I mean, I adore it. I just love it to pieces. And to get a chance to talk to him about it and have him want to tell stories. Like, that's the thing. Sometimes you'll meet someone and you're in awe of them a little bit, and they can tell you're in awe of them, but they have a weird thing about it, or they don't want to really get into something. He was like delighted to answer questions and to talk. And he had a lot of sympathy for for the fact that I was such an avid fan. And he was really nice to me. We also did a show called Madoff. We worked for a day on this show called Madoff, and he was very a good scene partner. He was.
Did he remember your previous interactions and all?
Yeah, he remembered me, and it was nice. He was really nice to me. And it's funny. It's like he's had such a weird and varied career. I'd totally kind of forgotten about this middle period of like these crazy big Hollywood movies, these comedies that he did. He did a lot of those.
Yeah.
And they were some of like his most successful movies. He was a star for so long in so many different capacities,
A fun story about him, the a correlative to the idea of Nick Nolte eating the dog food and that kind of commitment. When we were working on The Education of Max Bickford, he was the star of the show, and he had, when it's a show where you're the main character, they are long days for those people. There weren't other storylines that they were departing to. And so we were shooting this scene, and it was late in the day where he has to make a very long speech on a town board meeting, and my character's in the audience, and I get the news about how he's going to vote on this development that I'm the developer for. And they shot his coverage first, where he has this long monologue, so that he could leave and go home before they turned around to do the shots of all the extras in the audience, or the background players in the audience, and me responding to his speech. So they shot him out so that he could leave, and he did not leave. He stayed while they relit, and then turned around and shot the reaction shots from the audience, the background players, and from me. So there's about another hour and a half or 2 hours. He stuck around while they relit, had to turn this entire room around, and then he, for every take, did the monologue, and not reading it, but performing it, so that we had that to work with, for absolutely no reason. He could have gone home. Nobody would have thought less of him. It's not like it was be walking out on your scene partner during some emotional dialogue scene,
Yeah.
And I have always remembered that and been incredibly impressed by that.
That's really that's an unusual quality, I mean, maybe if you've made Jaws, then any other shoot is easy, and you're like, I don't care, another hour here doesn't matter,
Right. Or maybe you're in a bad mood. Like, Jesus Christ, I don't want to go home.
Maybe so. What's your getting back to the movie in general, because we've sidestepped a lot of this stuff. Did you have a favorite actor in it, a favorite line? I mean, like, of the minor characters or anything? I have one person I'd like to mention and bring up.
I do have a favorite actor in this movie, but you wouldn't know it from this movie. I'm not even entirely sure who he played in this movie, but my friend Nick Nolte is in this movie somewhere.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite actors.
Oh, so he was good in this, probably.
I think he is the guy who shows up after the drowning. There's another character who sort of kind of comes running up and is there while the recovery is happening.
Well, somebody did run up really effectively. I was like, wow, they are running so realistically.
He's a terrific actor and deserves a shout out, whether or not. But uh, I think some of my favorite performances in this movie, um, Little Richard
Little Richard is great.
is
I mean, he's great.
beyond.
When is he not great? But come on.
Yeah.
He's just so great. He doesn't, and he looks like he doesn't care. They're like, I'm sure they were thought, oh, Little Richard will be excited to be in a movie. And he shows up, he's like, I invented rock and roll. This doesn't excite me.
Yeah.
You know?
And forgive me, I don't know the name of the actor or even the character, but the Native American guy who explains shit to Richard.
Oh, yeah. I think his name in the movie is, I don't know. There was some name.
I think they call him Tom Tom or something like that.
Yeah, it was some joke like that. And he was great. That actor was terrific.
But he hits it out of the park.
You know who I loved? Felton Perry, man.
Felton Perry was
the Nick Nolte's friend. There's another homeless man that they meet when they're eating at the restaurant, and they ask him to join them at the table. They ask him
food, but he steals everybody's
bread. Just steals rolls and stuff while he's talking, and he does not even really paying attention to it. It's great.
Yeah,
Felton Perry from RoboCop. Felton Perry, wonderful actor.
Okay, yeah, and also I gotta say that Bette Midler, who 98% of the time is doing too much in a caricature, had one moment in this movie where she broke my heart.
The song?
Before the song, there's a few seconds in the love scene, like right after they make love, and before the song, where she drops back and her work just really lands. And if I was a director and working with her, I'd say, that's all you ever have to do.
Her fans expect a little bit more, Matthew.
Okay, yeah. Well, and I'm going to say something. It may end the show. It may end the show, and you may never speak to me again.
Uh-oh.
But Bathhouse Betty is an epic album.
I don't know what you just said.
It's a great album.
Is it a Bette Midler record? I'm not a.
It's a Bette Midler.
I'm at a disadvantage here.
It's a.
I'm sorry. I am. I know.
Yeah. Bathhouse Betty is an incredibly wonderful.
Well, I mean, she is a powerhouse performer. I'm sure it's an amazing record because she's, I mean, I'm not. It's I don't even know if it's my kind of thing or not because I've never seen her in concert. I hear like back in the day, seeing her doing a live show was like phenomenal, right? She had a huge reputation. Still does.
Her recordings of the Rosemary Clooney songbook are spectacular.
Well, she's got the chops, man. She's the real deal. And as big as she gets, she's also, I mean, she is a persona actor as much as anything else. Bette Midler is like, she's a force of nature and she's a persona. And that persona involves like a little bit too much all the time. And I guess it's just kind of a thing. It's like, it's a very older Hollywood way of working. And she wasn't necessarily old Hollywood, but she's, like, it reminds me of like, not that she's like Diller, but Phyllis Diller, who had like a thing that she was like, nope, this is my brand and I'm going to be big in this way for the rest of my life. And lo and behold, until she was like in her 80s, Phyllis Diller was that lady.
Was there anything about this movie that was difficult or triggering for you?
Difficult or triggering?
Yeah, because the Thanksgiving scene with the yogi leading the meditation at the in the 80s, I started having flashbacks.
It's too close to home to some of the stuff that we saw in the 80s. Yeah, I that was a little uncomfortable. Yeah. Luckily they didn't get any of the details right. No. There were some funny things. I mean, in that scene, Sydney, I mean, just the throwaway line, Sydney, I'd like to learn how to walk on hot coals made me laugh. I just, there is a couple of there's a scene where the scene where Dreyfuss, who's having an affair with their live-in maid, and it's not they're not looking for approval on this in the movie. It's something the character's doing that we're not supposed to be proud of.
No.
And he's having this affair with it's Elizabeth Pena, who's great in the movie. She's really great. In the middle of their tryst, the dog hits the alarm in the house, and all the cops
doesn't approve of the tryst.
Right. And so he triggers the alarm, and all the cops in the world show up. I mean, it's great, but there's literally just a shot when the helicopter showed up. Yeah. I literally laughed out loud. I was like, that's the timing of that was fantastic. And then there's like little weird things that I thought the movie had some charming things about it, like the Iranian family, or the Iranian prince who lives in the mansion next door.
That storyline. There's
this weird little scene where the little boy, like the son of the prince, like is on the other side of the fence, and he has this little scene with Nick Nolte, and you don't know who the kid is at first. Like at first, I'm like, is he a homeless kid? Like, what's happening? And then you find out later. I thought that was great, and
that was really charming.
And that's, to me, that's the good. That's Mazursky-esque too. That's like the good. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the good thing that he kind of maybe brought to this. Not that he wrote it or did it, but just the sensibility behind it and the way it was done.
You need to talk. I'm assuming you need to talk a little bit about the cinematography. Because the cinematographer in this movie, Donald McAlpin.
Yeah, it's pretty gorgeous, right?
Well,
did you like?
I think he's a genius, and the way the movie was shot made me crazy.
Really? Why?
I wanted that camera to stop moving all the time.
Oh, I didn't. I liked that.
Yeah. I just didn't feel like this was the movie for it. Getting back to like the sort of Cassavetes attitude of it, I felt like this movie needed more of a documentary thing to it.
Yeah.
Who am I?
Well, no, I mean, I hear you. I think, this is not like a lot of stuff that he did. Like McAlpine's known for like Predator, and then Romeo and Juliet, and then Moulin Rouge, and things like that.
The moving camera in Moulin Rouge, I adore that stuff. And I just didn't think this was the movie for it.
Okay. Well, what I think is that I can see that. I think that I maybe more modulation on it. Like I feel like it kind of starts crazy from jump. It could have had a slower burn in this film. I really think that would have been great, and I think both of us would have appreciated a quieter beginning, like a more structured film to feel like the structure of Dreyfuss's life that then gets upended and maybe turns more chaotic as it goes on. Right. I could see that.
And then, I don't want to blame that on McAlpine. That could have been Mazursky wanting all of that.
It may have been. It may have been because McAlpine, like they worked together before too. Like he did Moscow on the Hudson, and probably a couple of other things of his, but there were some really extraordinary things in it too. Like the use of the mirrors in it. There were a couple of shots using the sets and the mirrors in those sets that were just amazing.
I have that note. The shot of Nolte split in half by the mirror.
Yeah, but also that shot of Dreyfuss and Bette Midler entering their bedroom from the bathroom, and the way that the camera is moving, and because it's moving in that shot, they actually come past a row of mirrors that then reflects them like dozens of times in really weird ways as they're walking into the room together. And
I
I don't know.
After they make love, the shot of them on the bed, and the light coming through the slatted windows has them in prison, basically behind bars.
That's interesting. Yeah,
it was very interesting. It's
beautiful.
Like they're in a cage.
Beautiful lighting in the film. I mean, it's very Hollywood, very bright, but it's also it's not too glossy. It's got some grit to it. What else did we like? Love that scene on the pier, like I said.
The scene on the pier, and the scene before that when he's getting drunk with the Native American actor, and that the line that made me laugh the hardest was when the Native American actor says, "Do you want a drink, white man?" And Dreyfuss turns to Nick Nolte and says, "How did he know my name?" Did you catch that?
I didn't, but that's really funny.
His name is Whiteman. And then the guy says, "You want to drink, white man?" And he says, "How did he know my
name?" There were a lot of interesting, it was interesting seeing them tackle a lot of issues and themes. Hey, I got some cats having a little argument over here.
Hey, we're working here.
I have to stop this for 1 second. Excuse me.
Oh my God, okay. He's leaving me alone, so maybe I'll sing Talking Heads song. Oh no, he's back. Thank God he's back. I was about to start singing Letting the Days Go By. I didn't know what to do.
I was saying that there was, it was interesting watching them tackling a lot of themes that are very current today. Sexual identity issues. I mean, homelessness, gender roles, equality, lots of racial things are in this movie.
Yeah.
And it's really scattershot, but it's, and I don't know that they really handled all of these things well, and certainly not all of it kind of looks great through today's lens for some people, probably, particularly one of the conclusions of it having to do with Nolte and their daughter, which is kind of like, no, like that's not, that doesn't feel okay.
You feel like that was okay?
I didn't really think that played for for my audience and me in my head today. I didn't know if I like that.
Yeah.
But,
I can see that.
But I thought it was interesting to the degree that it was a lens into, how people were trying to talk about these things, in the 80s, and people who were trying to be sensitive to these things and how they were trying to be. It's an interesting look into that.
Right.
Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I mean, I love the fact, for instance, that
I've noticed in my time of homelessness, women not throwing themselves at me the way they did at Nick Nolte.
Well, now okay, you have an authority here. This film is lying to you.
Yeah, to me, but also I don't look like Nick Nolte, so
no. I love the gardener who's concerned with Dreyfuss. Richard Dreyfuss has a gardener who's trying to help him and is concerned about him, and offers him, he's like, I can help if you need a place to go. You can stay at my condo in Maui if you want. He's like,
that was great.
There were some funny moments like that. And
the costume fellow in this movie?
Who did the costumes?
Albert Wolsky.
Oh, really? I know Wolsky.
Yeah, Wolsky, who has worked with Dad on Hard as a Lonely Hunter, Poppy, Last of the Rabbit Lovers, and Little Murders.
Wow. I didn't know it was...
And did An Unmarried Woman.
I didn't know it was that many. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, the costuming was excellent.
Worked with Pops 4 times.
The costumes were excellent. Nolte looked filthy. They looked legitimately dirty, those clothes.
Yes.
But they rented those from him, I think. He rented those clothes to the studio.
No, what you don't realize, that was the same wardrobe that Joel McCrea was wearing in
Sullivan's Travels.
They actually had the same costume.
I love a little moment in this movie. It's right after the moment with the Iranian prince who meets Nick Nolte and thanks him for treating his son so nicely. after that nice scene with him and the little boy.
Are you going to talk about Dreyfuss's reaction shot to him getting the money?
There's two shots. Yes, the guy hands him $500. He's in a limousine, and he just hands him $500 and thanks him for what he did for his boy. And he drives off, and Nolte takes the money, and there's just like 3 shots of Nolte taking the money. He looks at Dreyfuss. There's Dreyfuss's reaction shot, and then they cut to this wide 2 shot of them on either side of the screen, and the limo pulls off, and he's just holding the money, and they just hold on it for a second in this awkward moment of. It was very uncomfortable, and then they move on. It was really good.
It's a very funny moment.
So it's this weird combo of like some actually subtly funny things and some intelligent human things that were like recognizable and funny, and then too much chocolate sundae sauce like everywhere, just like this weird combo.
Yeah, but
I mean,
I adored. And I didn't expect to. The very end.
I did too.
You know?
I did too.
And you know what it reminded me of in a weird way is it's completely different in terms of story, obviously, but the feeling, the very end of Joe versus the Volcano, when she says to him, "It's always going to be something with you, isn't it?"
I could see that. Yeah. I think what's great about it is that they had the courage to give us the ending that we secretly really wanted, but never thought could happen. It's a fantasy ending, but it earned it. And at that point, if you've gone along so far enough to at least not, be with them enough to be like, well, what happens? And I care about them. It's kind of the ending that you want, because they become this family somehow that it's like, and I got to give Dreyfuss credit here too, because I think he really does, he's a little manic, and he has a lot of, it's a very, broad, everything's really broad, and there's a lot of physical comedy in it. Maybe I don't know if he was pushed a little more than he wanted to, but there was a real character in him, I really believed, without the script supporting it so much, in him having this moral awakening, and him having some kind of like midlife crisis that was about more of like a more feeling of moral, ambiguity and what he had to do with his life, and he really sold that. So I never didn't buy that he went off with Nolte to go and hang out with his friends. A lot of other actors, I think you would have just felt like, oh, that's the crazy comedy part. But I don't know. I appreciated that he made that, for me, he made the character kind of believable.
Yeah.
And a really crazy, and a really, really wacky, that's the term, wacky comedy. It's a wacky comedy, and it ends with people. It ends like, of course, like all these movies in the 80s, like of just people running through the house screaming, like chasing for whatever. They're chasing the dog, and then someone's fighting, and then everybody jumps in the pool. I mean, it's like one of those, like literally, like everybody falls in the swimming pool at the end.
I just wanted one shot of Estelle Parsons during the shootout in Bonnie and Clyde running through the house. Remember her just screaming and running?
That is a really great and strange thing to be in this conversation, but I love that. I love that. Shout out to Blaupunkt.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
That brought me back more than anything. I was like, I guess I am from the 80s after all.
And go see Cal.
Go see Cal.
Go see Cal, go see Cal, go see Cal. I remember the commercials.
Used car, the first used car guy that I was aware of who had those crazy commercials. Yeah.
Yeah. Just crazy. Oh my gosh.
So this is a movie we saw. We saw it.
We did. We saw it. We talked about it.
We talked about it. Yeah.
Since I'm going to be homeless for another couple of weeks, should we do Down in Trading Places? Are there other homeless movies, or should we?
Are there other homeless movies? This is, well,
or should we make it up to bet bowls and do To Catch a Thief?
I'm going to throw it out. Bet if you're still listening. If it's kind of up to you. If you're still listening, you could say.
Yeah. If you're still
we're
here,
gonna do Catch a Thief this next or the one after. But you tell us if you want us to do another like something about living conditions. So what about The Apartment?
Okay. I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? Wow.
I've never seen The Apartment.
Jack Lemmon. No, you didn't seen it.
Yeah, Jack Lemmon.
You admitted this on YouTube.
I did. Oh, there's so many things I haven't seen.
Well,
in my defense,
excuse me.
In 1960, I had just been born. So
that makes zero sense.
I was too young to see it.
It's true. How do you account for my having seen it? Is it that time slippage that we talked about earlier? It happened again.
Jack Crucian is in it.
Is in The Apartment?
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bet, I don't know if you're listening.
You know who else is in it?
Who?
Joan Shawley.
I didn't know that either.
You remember Joan Shawley?
Should I?
You should remember Joan Shawley. Because
does she remember me?
She doesn't remember you, but Joan Shawley was in Woman on the Run.
Was she at the bar?
She's the drunk woman at the bar.
Oh my God. Wow. She is great. Well, I'm on the fence. I don't know. Maybe we'll just do you want to just
we'll discuss it after the show and people will just
we got to post it though, because last time Bet saw a movie that we didn't cover.
Let's do The Apartment.
Okay, we're gonna do The Apartment in honor of Matthew's living conditions right now.
Yes.
We're gonna do the movie The Apartment with Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine
and Joan Shawley.
Exactly.
So thank you so much for joining us this evening. We hope you had as much fun. Actually, I don't hope you had as much fun as we did. I hope you have more fun than we did.
Why? Because this is so much damn work that we're schwitzing.
We're struggling. We're exhausted.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all next week.
Indeed. We're back on track. I'm so glad to be back with you, man. This is great.
It is. Good night, everybody.
Good night.